In this video, we are going to explore HTML semantic elements. We will see how to build meaningful page structures with semantic HTML5 elements. By the end of this video, you should have a good understanding of the semantic elements in HTML. Let's discuss why you should use semantic elements. There are several benefits to using them, including improved accessibility for screen readers, better search engine optimization or SEO performance, easier code maintenance, and a clearer code structure. Here's a comparison of non-semantic versus semantic code. On the left, we have non-semantic code, which uses div elements with class names such as header and main. On the right, we have semantic code, which uses the appropriate HTML5 elements such as the header and main tags. Semantic elements make your code more readable and understandable. Let's take a closer look at the header element. The header element is a container for introductory content or navigational links. It typically contains headings, a logo, a search form, and navigation. It can appear multiple times in a document, for example, in article headers. It should not be confused with the head element or heading tags like H1 through H6. Here is an example of how to use the header element. Inside the header element, we have an H1 element for the site title and a Nav element for the navigation links. The visual representation shows a header box containing a navigation bar with navigation links. Now let's explore the Nav element. The Nav element defines a section of navigation links. Not all links should be inside a Nav element. It is used for major navigation blocks. It helps screen readers identify navigation sections and can be used multiple times in a document. Here's an example of how to use the Nav element. Inside the Nav element, we have an unordered list of links to different pages on the site. The visual examples show a horizontal navigation bar and a vertical navigation bar. Let's discuss the section element. The section element represents a standalone section of content. It typically has a heading element, such as H1 through H6, and it groups related content thematically. It is not to be used as a generic container, and it should have a meaningful purpose in the document outline. Here's an example of how to use the section element. We have a section with a heading, H2, and a paragraph. Inside the section, we have two more sections, each with their own heading, H3 and paragraph. The visual representation shows a page container with a header and footer, and a main content area with a features section, which contains feature 1 and feature 2 sections. Let's explore the article element. The article element represents a self-contained composition. The content should make sense independently, and it is perfect for blog posts, news stories, and forum posts. It can be nested, for example, comments within an article, and it usually has its own heading. Here is an example of how to use the article element. Inside the article, we have a header with the article title and publication date, the main content, and a footer with tags. The visual representation shows a blog page and a news site, each containing an article element with its own title, metadata, and content. Let's take a look at the aside element. The aside element represents content indirectly related to the main content. It's often used for sidebars or call-out boxes. It can contain related information, advertisements, and so on. It should make sense when separated from the main content and is not meant for parenthetical content within text. Here is an example of how to use the aside element. Within the main content, we have an article and an aside. The aside contains related links. The visual representation shows a page layout with a main content section and a sidebar, as well as a blog post with a call-out box providing additional information. Let's discuss the footer element. The footer element contains information about the section or page. It typically includes author information, copyright information, and links. It can be used for each section, not just the page bottom, and often contains contact information. It provides closure to a content section. Here's an example of how to use the footer element. Inside the footer, we have site links and copyright information. The visual representation shows a page layout with a page content section and a site footer, as well as an article with an article footer containing metadata and tags. Let's explore some other important semantic elements. First, we have the main element, which specifies the main content of a document. There should be only one main element in a document, and it should not be a descendant of article, aside, footer, header, or NAV. Next, we have the figure and fig caption elements. The figure element represents self-contained content like illustrations, diagrams, photos, or code listings. The fig caption element provides a caption for the figure. Finally, we have the time element, which represents a specific period in time. It may include the datetime attribute to translate dates into machine-readable format, allowing for better search engine results or custom features like reminders. Let's also discuss the mark, details, and summary elements. The mark element highlights text. The details and summary elements create an interactive widget that the user can open or close, perfect for FAQs or additional information. Let's talk about best practices and resources for using semantic elements. Here are some best practices to keep in mind. Use semantic elements for their intended purpose. Don't overuse div and span when semantic elements are appropriate. Maintain a logical document structure. Use headings to create a proper document outline and test with screen readers to ensure accessibility. Here are some learning resources that you may find helpful. The World Wide Web Consortium, or W3C HTML specification. The Mozilla Developer Network, or MDN Web Docs. Web Accessibility in Mind, or WebAIM, and HTML5 Doctor. Using semantic HTML elements makes your websites more accessible, maintainable, and search engine optimization, or SEO friendly. They provide meaning to your content structure beyond just presentation. If you like this video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Visit codelucky.com for more such useful content.